Previously on Sailing Bohemia, we anchored on San Miguel Island and were blown away by its beaches, wildlife and natural beauty. We lifted our anchor and sailed to Santa Cruz Island, nearly catching fire on the way. Happy hour began a little early and we got some much needed practice on our musical instruments.
Today we are leaving Forney Cove and I kind of wish we arrived today because the conditions are so much nicer. There's hardly any wind and the sun is shining and it is pretty spectacular. But we do need to press on to be in a safe anchorage by tonight because the weather is, it's coming in and it can be quite deceiving. All looks wonderful now, but 7 hours later it could be mayhem. But that's what cruising is about. You can't really plan that you will be able to visit all the places you want because you're so dependent on the elements. And yesterday with all of our maintenance issues, with the outboard and with the water maker, the fuse burning out, it's actually good. Ooh, it's quite rolling. It's actually quite good that we had the afternoon to solve everything so that when we arrive in the anchorage that we actually are all set and can enjoy the next few days. So well done to the captain for fixing everything.
Finally!
Although it was his fault that things broken at the first place. I'm not quite sure whether that deserves well done or not.
You've already given it, you can't take it back.
For the morale on board, let's go with that. Yeah, well done to the captain. Yeah.
Today's sail is a short hop around the side of Santa Cruz Island, where we should be well protected from the approaching gale. Cortez is a very small anchorage without much room to swing, therefore anchoring bow and stern is recommended. Bow and stern anchoring is used to stop the boat from swinging when space is tight. It's our first time ever doing this and we've been dreading it for the past 3 years. It's a tricky manoeuvre to get right, but with Peter's management skills and me at the helm, I'm sure we're not going to make a circus out of it.
Well done, Captain. Well, let's see whether we can hold.
Should we celebrate tomorrow morning instead? Cortez is a charming cove and one of the best anchorages on the south side of Santa Cruz Island. It has a lovely sandy beach as well as great shelter from the prevailing northwest winds. We were really lucky to have the whole anchorage to ourselves.
Come on, little hike, he said. So, as you can see, we started by the boat and then we ended up on this hill. All the way up here, I was thinking about the chocolate brownies I'm going to be baking later to give me the energy to come here. It's a few miles and it's pretty steep incline. But the reason why we came here is because we have no signal, we have no radio reception whatsoever, and we need to know what the weather is doing. So we are hoping that on one of these hills there's going to be a radio reception so we can hear what the weather is doing later on.
Today, North winds 10 to 20 knots, becoming northwest. Seas 8 to 13 feet.
8 to 13 feet. I think we better stay in the anchorage for a few days. Wait it out.
So today is a bit of a maintenance. I'm gonna go and check the zincs and give the boat a bit of scrub just on the waterline.
We had issues with the zincs depleting very quickly in our previous marina, so we checked them whenever we can. The real surprise though was how fast the growth on the hull had developed in comparison to the cold waters of the San Francisco Bay where we used to live. We also swam across to check on the stern anchor before the gale set in. This was a new anchor and the first time we had deployed it, so we wanted to make sure it had dug in properly. Luckily, we only dropped it in 10 feet of water, so it made for an easy inspection. Looks good. This is the downside of bow and stern anchoring. When you got the side of the whole side of the boat exposed to the wind, and it all pushes it this way, then there's a lot more stress on the anchor. I'm going to put a little snubber on the anchor line here, so hopefully this will bring, I'll take it back to this corner of the boat, this cleat, and hopefully this will bring the back of the boat round into the wind instead of having a side on right now. It's a gale. It's going up to 30 knots where we are, but the other side gusting to 35 or 40. And you can see behind me the stern anchor. It's loaded up nice and evenly with the snubber on both sides. The wind is coming from all over the place, but more often than not dead behind us, which is a little bit of an unusual configuration for anchoring, mainly because we're bow and stern anchored right now. But our anchor is massively oversized. I think it can take a lot more than this, hopefully. So yeah, we're doing good. We decided to take a short trip on the dinghy to explore the nearby kelp forests.
Here we go, stranded at sea again.
Yeah, no bueno.
So this is how he fixed the tongue. He blows into the outboards. That is his way how to fix an outboard.
Magic puff of breath. Much of the California Channel Islands are surrounded by thick kelp forests, which need to be navigated carefully to avoid getting tangled. Kelp grows from the seabed at rates of up to 2 feet per day, reaching up to 190 feet tall below the sea. Kelp is so much more than just a hazard for boaters though. These beautiful underwater forests are crowded with life. Kelp forests like these provide a habitat for over 800 species who depend on them for their food and shelter. Kelp is a type of brown algae which also supports human life by absorbing a large proportion of carbon dioxide from the atmosphere, as well as providing ingredients for products such as ice cream, toothpaste, and batteries.
Dinner time. Well, hopefully dinner time. I am going to try to fish and see what I can catch. Tom is vegetarian, and the deal is if I catch a fish, he will eat it. So I'm determined. And obviously, if I don't catch any fish, then this is not going to make it on YouTube. Wish me luck. Sadly, it's our last day. We've been here for 4 days and had a wonderful time. All this time we were the only boat here, so that was absolutely wonderful. And tomorrow at 4 a.m. in the morning we're gonna set sail from here towards Catalina. It's about 14-hour passage, so we want to get early start so that we can arrive in the daylight. I do wonder when in future we're gonna be again in such an empty anchorage.
It's been fantastic. So isolated, so remote. We've been on hikes for hours at a time. We haven't seen anybody. We haven't seen any sign of civilization. We haven't got cell phone signal. So we probably should have prepared our families a little bit better because we weren't expecting to be cut off for so long. We haven't had radio signal on the VHF because we're really tucked into like a nook within the cliffs, so very, very shielded in every sense. We really hadn't bargained for anything quite like it. Well, we decided to set sail from Santa Cruz early, just after dinner, because the swell was pretty uncomfortable where we anchored out. We took ourselves off the bow and stern anchor and just dropped the stern hook, which took us further out into the swell. Anyway, we decided that rather than put up with that all night, we were better off trying to make our journey early rather than waiting for 4 a.m. as we're planning. So we're now on our way, about a third of the way to Catalina Island. I'm not sure in hindsight if it was a good idea. The seas are pretty confused still. About 14-foot swells, maybe 12-foot swells, and around about the same period in seconds, maybe 14 seconds. So a little bit uncomfortable, especially for a small boat like us. Nothing's come over the side yet, but don't like watching them come and go in the reflection of the moonlight. I can see how big some of them are. The noise that you can hear from the console in front of me is the "Everything's Okay" alarm, which Raymarine, in their infinite wisdom, decided would be a great addition to our depth sounder, to have an alarm that can't be turned off, as far as I can tell. Whenever it loses its lock on the bottom of the sea floor, and it's now like 4,000 or 5,000 feet deep under me, so no wonder it's lost its lock. But it complains about it and tells me it's going very shallow, which I do not believe for a second. So, short of resetting all the instruments while Peter's sleeping, I just got to put up with it. It's super annoying. And I think when we arrive, I'm going to be taking the buzzer out of that one. But yeah, apart from that, confused seas, confused air as well, with the continental and the maritime air masses seem to be fighting each other at the moment. Every now and then we get a huge warm blast from the port side. It's fighting against the marine layer blasting in from the starboard side, so very confused for sailing. We are making good progress, so I think we'll be there probably just before dawn, and looking forward already to getting some sleep and some rest. Join us next time on Sailing Bohemia, where we explore the beautiful town of Two Harbors on Santa Catalina Island. We snorkel among the state fish of California, the Garibaldi, and we run away to the mainland before the notorious Santa Ana winds arrive. If you enjoyed this episode, please don't forget to like it, leave a comment, and subscribe. See you next time!